So today I'm going to show you how to take a Final Cut Pro X file and bring it into Premiere or After Effects. This is very easy to do and it's completely free. So basically a friend of mine is editing a project in Final Cut Pro X and he wants to send it to me to make changes and do VFX and After Effects. So I was trying to figure out, how do I do that? So this is what I figured out. If you go to Final Cut Pro X, you can follow a tutorial like this, which will show you how to export what's called an XML. So simply go to File, Export XML, and then basically you can just select the current or previous version. I don't think either of those things matter, and then make sure metadata view is general, and then just hit save. So what's going to come out is this terrible file called an FCP XML. It's awful. Nothing can read this except for Final Cut Pro and maybe Logic. But it's really designed by Apple to be only used within their ecosystem. So I decided to figure out how to break that. One thing you can do is get a program like this. It's called X2CC. You can get it in the App Store, but it costs $49.99, which is too much for any of us. Sorry to these people. So what you can do is you can get a free program called DaVinci Resolve, which everyone uses for color. You can get it either from the App Store or online, and just open that up, make a new project, call it whatever you want. Then you're going to go to File, Import Timeline, Import AAF, EDL, XML, ... Click that, and then just navigate to the FCP XML that came out of Final Cut. Hit Open. It's going to bring up this dialog where you can select what timeline you want. So I'll just select Final Cut, make sure all these project settings are right, make sure your resolution's right, your frame rate, all this stuff, then hit OK. Now if your footage is not in the same place that it was when your friend or whoever was using Final Cut, you're going to want to let DaVinci know where it is. So you can just navigate to exactly where your footage is. In this case it's on my desktop. Hit OK and it'll relink. So all of those are going to come up, and here you go. This is your Final Cut Pro project. Now it's open in DaVinci. So you've got some info here about things that are missing. This is all just audio, so I'm not going to worry about that. So now this is your Final Cut Pro project. It's now in DaVinci Resolve. You can make edits to it just as you would in Final Cut. All the footage that I need is relinked, and it's been populated in my media pool over here. I'm missing some audio here, but that's okay because they didn't send it to me and I don't need it. But yeah, just make sure, just do a little spot check and make sure this all looks right. It does to me, so then I'm going to go to File, Export AAF XML. Just click that, and now here's the fun part. This is where you can actually select what kind of XML you want to do. In this case, we want the old XML, the .xml. None of these dumb new files. XML, just do that. Name it whatever we want, and then hit save. Now it's going to export that very quickly. You might not even notice it happened. Now we're ready to move on. So it exported right here. You can see this is an XML that we can actually see. And you can see it's .xml now, not FCP XML. We're going to open Premiere and we can make a new project. We can call it whatever, doesn't matter. And then just go to File, Import, and then select the XML that came out of DaVinci. You'll see that FCP XML is not available to select, but this one is. So we just hit Import. It's going to import everything just as we had it in DaVinci. It's going to make a new sequence, and boom, there it is. You can see the audio is still offline, but all the DaVinci cuts, everything that came out of Final Cut, is perfectly where it should be. Now you can see we even have a transition here, which came through perfectly. It's a cross dissolve. So everything is as it should be. You can spot check it, but I can already confirm that this works perfectly. Now one thing to keep in mind is there are certain things that won't come through. Multicam clips are collapsed from Final Cut. Some blend modes aren't supported. Just take a look at this if you want to see what's going to come through. But for our purposes, all I wanted to do was bring a picture cut from Final Cut Pro X into Premiere so that I could edit it myself or do whatever. It's pretty easy to bring any of these clips into After Effects now. If we want to just right click, I can replace with After Effects composition, bring all those into After Effects, or I can finish cutting it on my own in Premiere. It's exactly right, just the way it should be, and we did it all for free.